Hello everyone, Justin here, and today we're going to talk about shadows and how to use light and shade to help your drawings look a little bit better. So let's go ahead and draw a couple objects here. Let's draw a rectangular prism. So basically a long cube. So we'll draw this as a three-dimensional object like this. And we'll also draw a sphere sitting next to it. Alright, so if the light is coming from this direction, so this is the front of our rectangular prism, what we're going to end up with is some shadow on this side. Not too dark, but it's not going to get the full brunt of the light. So we're going to get some shadow right here. So this would be called form shadow, which is shadow that's on the object itself. And then this ball, this sphere, this part gets a lot of the light, just like this part, the front of the rectangular prism. This part gets a lot of the light for the sphere. So then this backs, the sides and the back would then get the shadow, the form shadow. And I'll just kind of make the gradient a little bit better there. So it's going to get darker as it goes to the back. And then the objects then form cast shadows, which basically reflect the shape of the object. So let's draw that, and it's going to the back. So the cast shadow for this then would fall back here somewhere. Okay, let's just draw this. Okay, and of course it's over here as well. So the cast shadow for the rectangular prism goes from here behind the sphere out to the back. Alright, so let's go ahead and change the direction of the light and redraw our two objects here. And I'm actually going to draw the sphere so it's right next to our rectangular prism, so it actually overlaps this edge. So now let's say the light is coming from this direction. So now here's the front, it's coming from the back. So now this becomes the back side, and this gets dark shadow, dark form shadow, and this shadow would actually be even darker than, say, this side. Okay, so the full brunt of the light this time is on the back side here, which you cannot see, but the sides will still be a little bit in shade. Or in shadow, just like this right here. Remember, our light was coming this way, so here's the full light, some shade, and then the back side would be dark, just like this. Alright, so I made this a little bit lighter on this part of the back, just because there's also reflected light. So the main light's coming here from the back, but there's always also light that gets reflected from, say, the surface that the object's sitting on, and reflects back onto the back side, so it's not going to be completely dark. There's always a little bit of variation as well. So now we've got our sphere. The light is over on this side now, and this back side, or the front side I should say, of the sphere would now be in shadow. So let's go ahead and draw that, and gets lighter as we look at the front, as we go towards the front. Okay, so now the cast shadow then goes back this way. So let's draw that. Straight back. And the ball, the sphere, its cast shadow then goes back this way as well. So let's shade that in. And these cast shadows help to ground the objects so that they don't look like they're just floating. You can tell right here that the ball and our prism are sitting on a surface. Okay, now let's take a look at another situation here. Let's redraw our two objects. And now let's say the light is coming from the side. Okay, so again, just like here, the darkest side, darkest shadow, form shadow, will be on this side of this rectangular sphere. The brightest part of this prism then would be the side that we can't see, and the sides would have a little bit of form shadow, not as dark as the back. And then the sphere, this part gets some light and this part is the darkest. So let's go ahead and darken this back side here, and progressively getting lighter as we go towards the front, something like that. Alright, so now where's our cast shadow for this? Our cast shadow for the ball is going this way, so let's just indicate that with a roundish shadow. And now our cast shadow from this rectangular prism is being cast onto the sphere. So what you're going to end up having is the cast shadow being formed by the surface that it's being cast to. So here the ball is round, so you'll also have the cast shadow round here, and then once it gets down here, then it becomes straight. So whether or not it actually gets seen here, we don't know, but let's go ahead and definitely draw this side here, and then it'll get lost within the sphere's shadow. Okay, or what can also happen is it can go further than the sphere, in which case you'll no longer have a completely curved cast shadow over here. Let's also look at a couple other objects here to look at how light affects the shadows. Let's draw a cylinder, and let's say the light is coming from this side. Let me just write these down to show that our arrow is indicating light. Okay, so if the light's coming from here, this side will get some of the light, and this left side will be in shadow. So let's draw in the shade in the form shadow, and it gets lighter as we go to this right side of the right edge of our cylinder, and it gets pretty dark over here. But we'll go ahead and kind of keep the farthest area here a little bit lighter to show that there's some reflected light. Again, the reflected light is from light being reflected, say, off the surface or other objects that are around. So now we can draw our cast shadow. So let's go ahead and draw a sphere this time. So just like that, let's say the light again is coming this way. So now we're going to get the shadow primarily on the lower left of our sphere, and it gets progressively lighter as we go to the upper right of the sphere. Okay, let's just indicate that real quick. And gets darker. Trying to draw this gradient a little more clearly. So then this part back here, again, as I mentioned, just like the cylinder, the form shadow will get a little bit lighter because of reflected light. and the amount of reflected light will vary depending on the surface of the object you're drawing, as well as the surface that it's resting on and the other surrounding objects. So let's go ahead and draw the cast shadow then, and let's just kind of roughly draw it in as a round shape. Alright, finally let's go ahead and draw a cube, and again the light is coming this way, so we again have our darkest shadow on this side of the cube with a little bit of reflected light, let's say at the bottom like that, and this side will be just a little bit lighter, and the front then would be the lightest because it's getting all the light. And then let's go ahead and draw in our shadow, and that's pretty much it. This is just a basic overview of how light plays a role in helping to show the form of the object, as well as kind of go briefly over the difference between the form shadow, which is directly on the object itself, as well as the cast shadow, which is a reflection of the shape of the object that's casting the shadow on the surface that it's resting on, or in this case the cast shadow that's being cast on another object. So thanks for watching, and I hope you got a little something out of this, and I will see you at the next video. See you and have a great day.